Do I think everybody could benefit from taking a multivitamin? No, I don't. What's going on, guys? It's Jacob, Sunday Lifters. Welcome back to the channel. In this video today, I'm going to be covering multivitamins and why I am now in a sort of position, based on all the research I've seen, the meta-analysis and the sort of independent studies, actually hesitant to say that I believe everybody could benefit from taking a multivitamin daily. In fact, I think obviously it'd have to be done on a case-by-case basis, but I'd be willing to wager that actually quite a lot of people could benefit from not taking a multivitamin. And as always, I'll explain my reasons for making that claim. I will use studies and I'll cite them in the description below if you want to check them out as well. As stated before, guys, I'm not a medical professional, not a doctor. I will provide citations for what I'm claiming, but you need to always discuss these types of things with a doctor, get a medical professional's opinion, and do your own research as well. Before I get into the meat of this video, as always, guys, a like, a comment and a subscription is always hugely appreciated, and it does help this channel grow. So multivitamin has not actually been shown in any studies to conclusively increase lifespan in humans. Not only this, but it's also not been conclusively shown to prevent chronic disease like heart disease, cancer, diabetes, the list goes on. Now, there was a study done in 2009 by the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition, and what they found in that study was that a multivitamin use over a period of time, I can't remember exactly how many years it was, but it's linked down below, guys. But the study was only done in women, which is a bit of a problem because sometimes men and women can have different results from these types of things. But it was shown that daily vitamin use in these women across the board increased their telomere length of about 5 to 6%. If you don't know what telomeres are, they are basically, like, for the use of this analogy, cover caps on the end of chromosomes which protect DNA from sort of fraying, entanglement, corruption basically. And every time a cell divides, it basically shortens the telomere length until the point where it's so short that the cell dies or becomes senescent. I believe studies are ongoing to check if this is the case in the general public on a sort of double-blind placebo type trial, but the results aren't out yet, so it's not conclusive. We can't say for sure that this would be the case in everybody. Whilst I do think it would be irresponsible to say taking a multivitamin every day could be a bad health decision, there are certain instances and certain things within the multivitamin for certain individuals that could be problematic. For example, vitamin A in the form of beta carotene in smokers can increase the incidence of lung cancer. Vitamin E in the form of alpha tocopherol, at minimum, could be said that it will not decrease your all-cause mortality, and at worst could actually increase your all-cause mortality. That was shown in a few studies. All in all, the meta-analysis, the data is inconclusive, but it can be said with quite a lot of certainty at this point that vitamin E is certainly not a vitamin you'd be taking for longevity. It can't be endorsed as such. Iron can also be problematic, especially for people on a typical Western style diet. The reason being because that the highest possible amount you want to be getting of iron in milligrams per day is 45, and that is the top end. Ideally, you'd want to be coming in about 10 milligrams below that. A fully grown adult man on a typical Western diet will get about 16 to 18 milligrams per day. A fully grown woman on a typical Western diet will be getting around 12 to 15 milligrams per day. These are just averages I'm pulling out, and a typical multivitamin will have about 18 milligrams in the pill. So already you're around 36 milligrams for a man and probably around 32 for a woman. That does put you right at that top end of sort of the iron you'd want to be getting in a day. Too much iron is not necessarily a good thing. Higher sort of levels in the blood serum levels, it's like a double-edged sword, to be honest. Has been shown to potentially protect arteries against atherosclerosis, but the other problem, it has also been shown to, increase the risk of blood clots forming. So you'd ideally want to be getting a middle point of milligrams of iron, probably enough. You'd be getting enough for a typical Western diet, is what I'm trying to say. So that could also be a problem if you're taking a multivitamin. Another potential problem, just to pick one out, might be for someone who's on blood thinners. They might not know that taking the vitamin K and having higher blood serum levels of vitamin K from a multivitamin could actually potentially block the effect of their blood thinner. If there's someone with hypertension, that could be really problematic. So there's things like that to consider as well. And finally, there was actually a study that was published in March 22, which I will link down below, that sort of concluded over a sort of 3.5 year, I believe, study that the supplementation of multivitamins had no effect on cardiovascular instances and cancer instances. So based on information like that, do I think everybody could benefit from taking a multivitamin? No, I don't, to be honest. I think it has to be done, like I said at the beginning, case by case. The ideal scenario would be everyone research, to some reasonable depth, how many micronutrients they're getting in their standard daily diet, and then planning their supplementation around that based on what they're not getting enough of and what they are getting enough of. Or even better, just diversifying their diet so they are getting plenty of micronutrients and vitamins, minerals, all that kind of stuff on a day-to-day basis or week-by-week basis. Is everyone going to do that? Absolutely not. And because people aren't going to do that, you have to, well, don't have to, but I'm going to create like a loose rule you could follow. Basically, if you are somebody who has a diet that is full of crap, again, a pretty typical Western diet is lacking in micronutrients, vitamins and minerals, generally speaking, you might benefit more from a vitamin as opposed to somebody who has a quite diverse and micronutrient rich diet. They probably already getting enough of all the things in a multivitamin, and therefore further supplementation would just put them at higher blood serum levels of certain micronutrients, vitamins that could potentially down the line be problematic, or when it's taken chronically be problematic. The other option is just supplementing specific vitamins and minerals based on what you're getting through your diet. Like I said before, if you learn your diet to some degree, you can supplement specific vitamins and minerals around that to suit your lifestyle and improve your health. There is some degree of independent research you guys are going to have to do to benefit from this knowledge. Unfortunately, I can't analyze everybody's diet and say, oh, you should take this or you should take this. It's just not realistic. Vitamins and minerals you may want to include in your sort of independent supplementation as a basic guideline. I'm not going to go into every single one, but vitamin D for people in the UK and quite a lot of Europe in general, to be honest, particularly in the winter, we do not get enough vitamin D. Caucasians and people who live in those sort of countries are susceptible to vitamin D deficiency, and a vitamin D deficiency is going to increase your all-cause mortality basically. Also, supplementation of vitamin D has been shown in several studies to actually be quite a good vitamin for cancer prevention. Won't prevent all cancers, mind you, but there are some specific ones it does really help protect against. People who have darker skin and people who live in hotter, more sunny places in the world are much less susceptible to a vitamin D deficiency, and there are certain places in the world you would actually be getting more than enough vitamin D from the sun and the light around you alone. So be aware of your environment, where you are, how much sunlight you get in a day, and make sort of an educated decision as to how many IUs of vitamin D you should take in a day. Vitamin C is another great one that I believe everybody could probably benefit from taking. It's a well-known sort of powerful antioxidant, and it will help maintain cells and protect blood vessels, and just help with sort of immunofunction, keep your skin healthy. It's just a really great one that, like I say, I think everyone could benefit from vitamin C supplementation. It's also really hard to have an acute overdose of vitamin C. I'm not saying you can't do it. Probably more than like 1,000 milligrams a day, you might start getting some symptoms. Not many people are taking like a gram of vitamin C a day. The mineral selenium is one that's caught my attention and could potentially make an appearance in my stack at some point, because it is incredibly cancer protective, more so than turmeric, but much less talked about. The only problem with selenium is it also has, it sort of massively protects against cancer. The downfall is it could increase the instances of non-alcoholic fatty liver disease in certain people. The people who be most at risk of that are people who have sort of poor diets, quite high saturated fat, and people who actually have quite a lot of body fat on their frame already. Those sorts of people are going to be more susceptible than those who have a sort of cleaner diet, less saturated fats, and you know, more micronutrient dense again, and also those who are of lower, sort of more healthy body weight. So we could go over pretty much every single component of a multivitamin, say that could be good for these people, not so good for these people, blah blah blah, and then you'd be able to make an informed decision. You could do that independently by looking at, so if you go on Google Scholar and look at sort of meta-analysis, independent studies, if you learn to read studies, it's hugely beneficial for your health. I will say that. But the other, you know, I'm not saying I won't do a video like that, but it would be a long video. It'd take a lot of research, so you'll just have to let me know if you do want it, and if enough people do, I'll potentially do it. But for now, I've given you a bit of a baseline. The general point I'm trying to make, guys, is that I would say, whereas before I would have said everyone can benefit from taking a multivitamin, I have changed my stance on that. I think it's important to put that out there. I've given the reasons why. There's just a lot in a multivitamin that, you know, you've got to consider, and for certain people, having too much of something is bad. You know, dose and duration make the poison, guys, and multivitamins are taken every day for years and years by a lot of people who don't actually know about all the things inside the multivitamin and how much they're already getting of those things from their diet. So try to be informed, guys. Learn about the food you eat and sort of how micronutrient dense they are. You hopefully can decide for yourself whether or not you think you could benefit from taking a multivitamin, or whether or not you might want to invest in some individual components of a multivitamin and take them independently. Like I say, I'm not a medical professional, guys, so feel free to speak to your doctors about this and what they think. Appreciate you tuning in. As always, if you could drop it a like, a comment, and consider subscribing if you're not already. Let me know your thoughts, whether you agree, disagree with the things said here. You can check out all my socials. It's at Sunday Lifters on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, and you can email me at sundaylifters@gmail.com for workout plans and coaching or sponsorships. Thanks for being here, and I'll see you next week, guys.